Welcome to our meditation today on the theme of incivility and how it is we all have to cope with this in our lives. And we're going to do a specific kind of meditation that will help with this issue. So I'll just share some images to help us along at the beginning, and then we'll have a nice meditation. So we acknowledge the ancestral holders of the land where we are. And here where I am is the Awabakal people. And we pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. And just breathe into that. Feel how nice that feels. So this is what life's like at the moment, I think, for people in medicine. Just more stress than normal. I don't know how you guys cope. Trying to find calmness is quite hard when we're stressed. But the trouble is that when we're stressed, we often misread people's facial cues and verbal cues and non-verbal cues as well. And sometimes we can think that we're in a conflict where there actually isn't really meant to be one. I know that this happens to me sometimes when I think I'm saying something like pass the salt, something very inconsequential, but it can come across as though I'm a bit cross with someone. And that's because of the energy that's behind it, or possibly something else that's going on at the time. And we aren't always aware of what cues we're giving out. And we're not always aware of how we might be misreading cues from the other side either. Incivility is one of the problems that can make this situation much more complicated and more severe. And it's one of the symptoms of burnout. And sometimes you'll find that usually lovely people start getting a little bit aggressive, and their language becomes a lot less graceful than it normally is. And it's because they're just under so much pressure. And there's a very interesting study that was done in the USA a few years ago now. They studied 4,500 doctors and nurses, and they asked them lots of questions about incivility and whether they thought that it had had any effect upon their work life and what sort of issues it had brought up for them, and whether or not it had led to errors. And these are the results. 71% of those surveyed tied incivility to medical errors that they knew of, which is pretty amazing, and 27% tied bad behaviour to deaths of patients, which I think is quite amazing. Anyway, if you want to read more about that research, Christine Porath is the person to Google. And if you Google Christine Porath incivility, a wealth of research will come up. So we know that it is a serious issue, particularly in the health arena. The outcome can be really bad. So how do we minimize the issue of incivility when everyone's under stress? And it's all very well to try and point the finger at the other person, say, you shouldn't speak to me like that. Maybe we shouldn't speak the way we're speaking either. But one of the ways that the literature shows that we can move forward is through the application of self-compassion, which is a whole branch of positive psychology that's very well researched. And one of the components of self-compassion is self-kindness. If you were raised in my generation, you probably might have some views around, if we're too compassionate to ourselves, too kind to ourselves, we'll lose our edge. We won't be as on it as normal. We won't have that kind of competitive edge that leads to success. But in fact, the research says the opposite. Anyway, there's 3 elements to self-compassion, and they are self-kindness, which means most of us are okay about being kind to other people most of the time, but we're not so great at being kind to ourselves. And the voice you hear in the head of what you're thinking, particularly when something goes wrong, is often very harsh and very critical, and sometimes not very civil. And we do beat ourselves up a bit when we make an error. So the first part of self-compassion is learning to be kind to ourselves. and changing the inner dialogue and really becoming aware of when we're speaking in a way that's not very friendly to the self. So that's the first element. The second element is called common humanity. And common humanity means being able to extrapolate outwards from the situation that you're in and realize that you are not the only one who has this issue, that other people suffer from whatever kind of mistake or crazy thing that's just happened, that truly everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has bad days. Everybody has successes and failures. It's not just me. And contextualizing things in that way, it takes a lot of pressure off ourselves. And the third element of self-compassion is mindfulness. Again, even that subcomponent of self-compassion has been very heavily researched over the last 20 years. And we know that mindfulness practices can be very good for stress reduction and to help us get out of the sympathetic activation state where the fight and flight impulse is so strong. And of course, incivility is part of that fight problem, isn't it? Anyway, mindfulness is one of the keys to self-compassion. So I thought I'd just show you very briefly some of the other benefits of self-compassion that are supported in the research. There's so many, and they're all very well-designed studies. There's greater happiness, optimism, life satisfaction, emotional intelligence, wisdom, positive body image. People are more motivated, actually, and relationship skills are greater. Relationship satisfaction is deeper. Emotional connection is stronger. Self-compassion allows us to accept other people more as they are without the need to try and change them, and helps people have a greater level of self-respect within their own being. There's a greater capacity for forgiveness and self-efficacy, so we can really do the things that we know we want to do. People's sense of personal initiative is stronger, and it showed also stronger values for curiosity, intellectual flexibility, resilience, and immune function. So when you look at that list, it's not a bad list of things that we might all want to have more of. And so self-compassion is really worth having a little look at in our lives. And there's the website down the bottom there, selfcompassion.org. A woman called Kristen Neff is the queen of self-compassion. She's a researcher and an academic, and she's done stacks and stacks of this work. And so have many others. So it's worth checking out, and there's a lot of resources on her page as well. So incivility, let's come back to incivility. It's really not a strength. Incivility happens through not having any better option. It's when we're feeling weak, really, when we're feeling a bit desperate, angry, off-centered, that's when incivility rears its head. And everybody is guilty of incivility sometimes. And remembering that common humanity thing makes it a little easier to bear. And instead of going deep into shame and going into our sympathetic fight and flight mode, we can actually learn when that clenching feeling of wanting to really give it to somebody comes up, that we can talk ourselves through that with self-kindness and take the appropriate steps. And also I find that if I'm on the receiving end of incivility, it's much worse if I forget about common humanity. And if I forget, everybody does it sometimes, I do it sometimes too, that really helps me to deflect it and let it bounce off instead of going in. Some of the well-known incivility remedies include things like saying you're sorry. And if you do make a mistake, try and clean it up. And the best way is to say to someone, look, I spoke a bit harshly last week, I'm sorry. And I think that people really respect us when we do that. Being a little more mindful next time we're in the situation and seeing if we can extend the period between having that flash come up inside and when we actually speak. If you can extend that time, it gives your brain time to move your response pattern out of the amygdala, out of your fear response center, and to allow the rest of your brain to have something useful to say to you, and you're less likely to say something you'll regret later. So counting to 10 is a classic example of how you do that. And to know that changing our habits when we're under pressure, if we tend to growl a bit at other people when we're feeling very stressed, then just to know it's a practice. And if you're on the receiving end, there's a whole range of things we can do, starting with just taking the person aside and saying, look, could you just have a look at the way you're speaking? Not when they're angry, but at another time, just saying, could you just be mindful of the way you're speaking to the staff? It's everyone's under pressure and we don't really need that. But if you can say it from a place of calmness, that's very helpful too. And also we can learn to kind of deflect these things and not go into that kind of shocked state, because when we're in that shocked state of, someone's just said something that's a bit shocking, that's when we tend to make the most errors. So self-compassion, which is self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness, has both an internal and an external component to it. So the internal one, which we're really dealing with today, is how do you comfort, nurture, and validate yourself and others in the face of this sort of problem? And the external factors that we might look at is how do we use our emotional intelligence to change ourselves and the world of work so that we all have a better experience? So we could run a week-long seminar on the slides that I've showed you so far, but we have 40 minutes together, so we're not going to go any deeper other than then to just know that this is a really fabulous bank of resources that one can lean into if this is an issue for us. So thinking about how would we apply self-compassion in our workplaces? Well, the first thing is just that little bit more caring in the self-talk and the way we write emails, the way we might ask someone to do something for us. Just put a bit more love in the sauce is one of my favorite expressions. Just be a little bit more caring, I suppose, to ourselves and others. And it just takes a moment, and it can easily become a habit to just be able to be present in that way. Common humanity, remembering everyone's doing their best, even when you do want to scream at them. If they could do any better than they're doing now, they would be. Everybody's doing their best, even when their best is not very good. And so it might mean that they need some training. It might mean that there needs to be a conversation. It might need some adaptive kind of strategy in the workplace, but everyone's actually doing their best. And mindfulness, let's try and be more aware of this present moment and keeping ourselves grounded and present, even if other people are not able to do so and they're in their stuff. So it's a lot to ask, isn't it, really? But with practice, we get better at it. Today, we're going to do a lift meditation to release the burdens of self-criticism that we might have been suffering from, and giving permission for ourselves to try self-kindness and to practice how we would want to speak to ourselves and others. And so there'll be a few dynamic releases that we'll do early on in our meditation today. And then the second part of the meditation is quite a delicious practice arising from one of the Buddhist practices, actually, but it's got universal application, I think. It's a compassion meditation. And what we're going to do is think about a person that we really like, that it's easy to be nice around that person because they're just so lovely, maybe a good friend or something. And we're going to say to that person, may you be happy, may you be peaceful, may you be healthy and fulfilled. And then you turn it on yourself. May I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be healthy and fulfilled. And then we'll try it with people in our workplace, back to ourselves again. And then you might want to think about if there's anybody in your work vicinity who is quite tricky to deal with, then we will bring them in to our meditation as well and practice this technique on them. And it's amazing sometimes how this can, just one person doing this meditation in a group where there's been this sort of issue, how it can have a bit of an effect on the group, and people can seem to be nicer than they were before. So I've seen that happen. I'm not saying it happens every time, but I have seen that happen. And also, we just feel better about ourselves, regardless of how others are behaving. So let's get ready for meditation now. And we'll start with just going within. So letting go of the morning you've had, letting go of what's going to come after lunch today. And just put your feet on the floor, back straight, hands face up. And if you're comfortable closing your eyes, that's a good thing to do with meditation. And just take a couple of conscious breaths in and releasing through the back of the body. And then a couple of more breaths in and releasing through the front of the body with the out breath. Just imagine you can breathe out through the body. Take another deep breath in and allow the breath to go down through the body and into the ground. And then take another breath in and imagine that you could breathe out through the top of your head, just releasing. And thinking about any layers and levels of stressfulness that's been in your workplace. Anyone with whom perhaps there might have been some tricky interactions. And just bring them to mind. And let's have the intention that our practice today can help to ease things along between us and lead to better outcomes for the future. And just going deeply within using your breath, start to watch your mind. And just imagine all the times that somebody has spoken to you in a way that just was a bit aggressive, where there's been incivility, all that sort of stuff has come up. And just taking a deep breath and imagine you can blow it all out from your mind, your body, and your whole self. Breathing in and release. Sometimes to me it can look like, I imagine it looks like iron filings that have gotten into our body, into our mind, into our energy. And so just looking for, imagining any of those iron filings of incivility, using that metaphor. And with the next out breath, releasing. And if you can say this out loud, it works very well. Your nervous system works well with this. But if it feels more comfortable to do it inside your head, that's fine too. But just repeating after me, I now release all energy of incivility and all memories of incivility. I release this from my mind, from my body, from my subconscious, and my whole being now. And breathing in and releasing. And let's release any habit of incivility, even if it's going on within our own head. Say, I'm now ready to release old habits of incivility, whether it's been conscious or not. I'm willing to lift and shift this now. And breathing in and releasing through the head region. And imagine you can call your energy back from any interactions that involved incivility. Let's form that intention that we're going to call our energy back from any past interactions that were not really acceptable to us. So you can say this out loud. I call my energy back from any and all episodes of incivility from any part of my life, and I choose to release this now. Breathe in and then release down through the body, straight down into the earth. And then just let your breath be slow and deep. And say, I choose the path of self-kindness and the cultivation of kindness in expression. And breathing in and releasing that breath. Say, I choose to remember that everyone makes mistakes, including me, including them. And breathing in and release all of the tension from the whole body now. And just bring your awareness to this particular moment in time where there is peacefulness, where you're safe, where you can let down from sympathetic activation into a lovely state of calmness. And just use your breath, focusing on your breath. And if thoughts arise in your mind, then we just let them go like a leaf flowing away down a river. And let's begin now with our compassion and kindness meditation. And thinking of a person that you really appreciate in your life, someone who's easy to care about and love. And say, may you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy and fulfilled. Breathing in and send a wave of that lovely calming energy to them. And now address your own mind and say, may I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be healthy and fulfilled. Breathing into your mind, and imagine you can breathe out through the back of your head. And thinking of this delightful person again and say, may you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy and fulfilled. and back to yourself again, addressing your own mind, and say, may you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy and fulfilled. And now turn your awareness outwards to your community, your work community maybe, your home community, your family, and think to those people, may you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy and fulfilled. And smiling at these people before turning once again to your own self and addressing your whole being. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be healthy and fulfilled. And now specifically addressing the people that you work with, and say, may you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be fulfilled. Turning to your own being again. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be healthy and fulfilled. And now thinking of somebody who might be a little tricky so far that you've worked with. And imagine that we're addressing their inner awareness. And from the core of who you be to the core of that person, say, may you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy and fulfilled. Turn this in again to yourself, to your whole being, and say, may I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be healthy and fulfilled. And now addressing the whole community, everyone in health, not just where you work, the whole community of health workers. And say, may you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy and fulfilled. Turning into yourself again and say, may I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be healthy and fulfilled. And just take a moment to appreciate the feeling generated by this practice. And imagine that from you, a river of this feeling can flow into your afternoon. And that everybody you meet for the rest of the day is bathed in this feeling, arising from the intention to create happiness, peacefulness, good health, and fulfillment. And so it is. Mentally smiling at the people you'll be with this afternoon, and sending this goodwill to everybody that you live with, that you'll be joining later in the day. And then when you're ready, just bring your awareness back into your body. Wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes, and open your eyes. So we do have a number of meditations that are free on our website, thewbi.org. That stands for the Wellbeing Initiative. This site was set up to assist and support health workers. So there's some great resources there, either by myself or my colleague, Dr. Kathy Perego, who's a psychiatrist in New York. And these were commissioned last year when doctors in America were really going through a hard time. We did a whole lot of meditations for them. So you're welcome to utilize those resources. Don't forget, if you're feeling poorly, that there's a lot of help available, and sometimes it just is about making the phone call if you need to. Primary Health Network has also got the Member Assistance Program, so that's another layer of support and help during these times we're in. And our next meditation will be on Tuesday evening, not Monday. It's been moved because of the long weekend. So visioning a new normal, another form of meditation, a very delicious kind of visualization of the better world that we kind of know in our heart possibly is able to be made. So we'll be focusing on all that is luscious and capable of being made by us in the future. And then next Thursday is cutting from stress. So it's all about self-care next Thursday. And that's it from me today and from our team. I hope that you have a lovely day. If you're able to fill out the evaluation form, we'd really appreciate it. And thank you so much for joining. I hope that you're feeling relaxed. See you next time.